Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the red corner from Korea, Hwi Jong Kim.
So Kim begins to make his way in. He's 5-7 with just one knockout. He's from Korea, but he lives in New South Wales in Australia. He turned pro in Korea in December of '01 against Qiu Xiao Jun. He won that fight by decision. And his last 7 fights dating back to October of '03, he's 1-6, but he's been in against much more experienced opponents. This is his 6th fight this year. He was off from '04 to '12, 8 years. He's a boxer with little power, but he's very well conditioned for this one. He comes in here at 31 years of age, and he wants to beat the guy from China in the worst way, Jun. There he is, Hwi Jong Kim.
Now please welcome into the blue corner from China, Qiu Xiao Jun.
And now coming in division here in the arena at the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, Qiu Xiao Jun, undefeated fighter. He's 3-0. He doesn't have any knockouts. He turned pro in China with a 6-round unanimous decision in his debut in September of '11. Then he went on to win his first 4 pro fights, fighting in China, Singapore, and Japan. He's a boxer with little power, so this thing could go to 4 rounds. We'll see. Kim wants to win this fight in the worst way, and Jun wants to stay undefeated. So we'll see how the whole thing unfolds. By the way, the scoring for tonight's fight will be the unified rules of boxing, 10-point must scoring system, no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighting will not be saved with the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. Those are the unified rules of boxing under the sanctioning of the Australian Boxing Federation, since they don't have a sanctioning body here in Singapore. All right, so with Jun in the ring, we're all set to get it going.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you partisans of pugilistic pleasure around the world. This is Singapore, the Lion City, Marina Bay Sands. Ladies and gentlemen, the first event of the evening is an international featherweight contest, 4x3-minute rounds with a weight limit of 57.2 kilos. Tonight, fighting out of the red corner where he weighed in at 56.6 kilos. He stands 170 centimeters in height, 31 years of age. He hails from Masan City in South Korea, where he's trained by Chen Yon Park by a Sydney and Mundine's gym. With a fight record, 12 fights, 5 wins, 7 losses, 1 win by KO. Please make him welcome, Hwi Jong Kim. His opponent in this featherweight contest, he weighed in at 57.1 kilos, stands 168 centimeters in height, 22 years of age, and he comes from Hangzhou in China, where he's trained there by AJ Nakamura in Japan at the Kashimi Boxing Gym Center. He's got a fight record, 3 fights for 3 wins. Ladies and gentlemen, Qiu Xiao Jun! Your referee for this event, Mr. Frank Hadley from Australia. Your judges, Arman Shah, Christian Gopi, and Serena Mohammed. Your timekeeper, Mr. Dick Ong. Mr. Hadley, to the center ring, please.
Gentlemen, you know the rules. Let's have a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Touch him up, go back to the corner.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, so we're set to go. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, and it'll tell us a few things. First off, you'll find out that Jun is going to be shorter. He's a bit heavier. He's 9 years younger than Kim, and he has a shorter reach. They're both coming off losses, so let's see how this thing unfolds. The guy that just wound up in the gray trunks to the right of your screen is the Chinese fighter Jun. Jabbing with the left hand is the Korean fighter in the white trunks, and that's Kim.
Early round action, and of course we're very fortunate to have a Brit, an expat here in Singapore, Julian Turner, to join us at ringside, Colonel. of course, the chief sporting writer here for the Straight Times. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The Straits Times, that's right, Mark. I'm very pleased to be here. We've got a great night of championship boxing for everybody.
And the great thing about having from the Straight Times, our man is going to be terrific to help us out, as you see that this guy is on the assault, and that's the Chinese fighter who we expect him to be much more aggressive than Kim. Kim has become kind of an opponent fighter, although he'd like to turn things around here and get things going for him. Julian Turner, we're thrilled to have him with us because he really knows the local fighters, and we'll, in the next 2 or 3 fights, we'll be tapping in on his knowledge. Jabbing with the left hand is Kim. He's in the white trunks. He's the kid from Korea. He's got to get a little bit busier with it. He's very flat-footed, and he jumps off his back foot instead of driving off his back foot. Looping right hand by Jun doesn't land.
Stop. Right.
Right hand from Jun, and backing up. Qiu Jun trying to come forward, the Korean. So maybe a little bit of power for Qiu Jun.
Yeah, Qiu Jun looks like he has more power, and Kim is a little cautious with him. The problem is that his jab really hasn't got any power because he doesn't throw it properly, and so the Chinese fighter can come right through it. I'm talking about, when I say the Chinese fighter, the guy in the gray trunks with the blue shoes to the left of your screen. Looping shot to the body that time. Kim very tentative. There's a looping right hand that just taps the top of the nose of Kim. It doesn't do any damage here with 48 seconds to go in round 1.
A nice combination by Qiu Jun. I'm just going to say, Colonel, hence a 4-3s. For wherever you're joining us around the planet from the Marina Bay Sands, hence a 4-3s, and very limited with their professional experience. But still, a very willing contest here from the Marina Bay Sands in round 1. Jong Kim versus Qiu Jun.
Well, Jun just landed a decent right hand when he had Kim over in the near corner here. Again, that's Kim with the white trunks to the right of your screen, and the Chinese fighter Qiu Xiao Jun in the gray trunks with his back to you now. He's got a decent jab, but he's got to throw that more too. Now here comes the Korean fighter in. He touches him up with a couple of jabs, and that's the way he wants to work off that jab. The bell ends round number 1. I think that Jun probably grabbed that first round.
Qiu Jun, yeah, and perhaps that flurry just above us here in the neutral corner. We might have a replay, and if so, we'll have a look at some of the first round action. Or, Colonel, sometimes in world boxing, the first round is in action, but there are a couple of flurries thrown from both fighters.
Well, Jun is a young fighter. He's only 22. Kim is 31, so I wouldn't expect him to be as tentative as he was in the early going. But here we go with the walkout again, and we wanted to see that replay, and maybe we'll get to see it. We'll see what happens here.
We're in the corner of the Korean. Hwi Jong Kim, man in charge. Set for 4-3s is Australia's Frank Hadley.
Frank Hadley really has his work cut out for him because he had to train all of the boxing officials here in Singapore because they don't have a commission here. So Frank has really been working hard all week. So we'll see what happens with that.
Of course.
This is round number 2, and here's the Chinese fighter on the assault is Qiu Jun.
Short right hand, Colonel. You may have missed it, but it had a little bit of spice on it from Qiu Jun early in round 1. A short right hand. It's a little bit of a weapon for the Chinas. Tries to go to the body. And then upstairs. And now the pace, the speed, and maybe finding the range. The Chinese, the young fella, 22 years of age, Qiu Jun of China.
Well, Jun there kind of looking tentative as he goes with the right hand lead, and then he goes forward and blasts him. He kind of switched around southpaw just a little bit there. You know, it was a sneaky right hand, but he was kind of in a southpaw stance, but he did have that left foot forward, so that is indicative of being a right-handed fighter. He went to the body, back with a slight jab as Kim. If Kim could get his jab going, but he walked into a right hand that time, and he's backed off, so Jun's having another good round of boxing here.
Qiu Jun thoroughly dominating round 2 from the Marina Bay Sands, wherever you may be joining us around the world of boxing.
Well, he's just joining us for plenty of action here now is Jun, because he is trying to load up shots as Kim cannot hold him off, and I could have predicted that back in the first round because his jab is very, very weak.
Colonel, I was just going to bring Julian in for a moment. Of course, of the Straits Times, expat Brit living in Singapore, the chief sports writer here. Jules, Colonel mentioned that Frank Hadley has done a wonderful job with the officialdom and training up the judges. That being the undercut, of course, the 2 world title fights. We've got the judges flown in from Australia and America and other parts of the world. But Frank Hadley's done a magnificent job for boxing here in Singapore.
That's right, and what great fights have been put together for the fans tonight. I mean, we've got 2 fantastic world title fights that grace a bill anywhere in the world. So the boxing scene in Singapore is growing. People are very interested in it, and these are the kind of fights that we'll be tuning in to see. And we're already seeing some fantastic action in this first fight.
All right, so in round number 2, Jun continues to take command as he landed a couple of good shots there while Julian was explaining what's going on here in Singapore, and we're glad to have that information. Here he comes with the uppercut, blast from the body, loads up the right hand. Another right hand whistles past the chin of Kim. The chin of Kim, I like that.
I do too. And I like the Korean's name, Hwi Jong Kim.
Yeah, that's it, Hwi Jong Kim.
That's who he is.
Well, he's having trouble right now, and again, it all goes back for you young boxers watching around the world. If you don't establish the jab and make it a stick, the other guy's going to come right through. See, when he jabs, he does all right, and all he has to do is throw the jab and get the right hand behind it. But he paused with his jab, Mark, and that's not good.
We're coming up to the bell. I don't want to play down the Korean, but I think we're starting to see a bit of class difference between the Chinese Qiu Xiao Jun up against, of course, Hwi Jong Kim. That's in the bank, that one. You can put 2 in the bank, 2 10-9s, and we're set for 4 3s. Well, you can agree with me any time, Colonel.
Oh, no, I agree with you totally. Well, once you put it out there, I didn't think I had to say anything, Mark. I'm with you all the way. There's no question. Here you go.
Here's the replay, and throwing 5 and 6 punches, a left uppercut that was a good punch, a short right hand. That right hand is starting to gain advantage very regularly. And this is only round 2. Unless the Korean can fix his game plan up very quickly, perhaps this won't go the 4.
Well, whether it goes to 4 or not is what the more important thing is, really, Mark, I believe, is the lack of a solid jab by Kim. Now, you saw in a couple of instances when he used his jab, he was successful. Here we go, round number 3. This is scheduled for 4, featherweight division. That's a 126-pound division. Again, Jun has a few things that are in his favor. He's 9 years younger. He has a shorter reach, and he's shorter in stature, in height, so he's really doing a nice job against the taller Kim.
You've already said it, Colonel. You've called all the big fights. He hasn't established the jab, and it all comes from the jab.
Well, any professional fighter will tell you that, and at his age, 31, if he hasn't learned to throw the jab right now, it's not going to come in his career, and he's going to rapidly turn into an opponent-type fighter because Jun is, I'm not saying he's having a field day because he hasn't visibly shaken the guy. He hasn't knocked him down. Kim is tough and he's well conditioned, but he's not technically a terrific fighter. Nice left hand that time, and he drops into a knee for the first time. So referee Frank Hadley has it up to 4 and 5. Does he want to continue? 6 and 7. His eyes look clear. 8, 9, and he finally gets up right at the 9 count. And Frank Hadley, I think, gave him a break there. Does this kid want to fight anymore?
Smart, and then a lead left hook. A lead left hook, almost Frazier style. I know that's a big call. A right hand tilts back the head on the Korean, Jong Kim.
Nailed with the right hand, and he's dropped to his knee for the second time. I don't know if this guy wants to continue. No, Frank Hadley says it's all over. He doesn't have to take any more punishment. It will come as a 3rd-round technical knockout victory for Qiu Xiao Jun. Nice fight for the kid.
142 of round number 3, and Mr. Hadley says, I've had enough. And it's a nice right hand. The Chinese Qiu Jun. We, at 22 years of age, I know it's a very big quantum leap, but we'll write the name down and put it in the black book.
Yeah, we will. And, you know, he's 4 and 0, and he's got 1 knockout to his credit now. So he established some power. But again, for this guy, just watch this at the end of the fight. Uppercut that time.
I think there was a body shot on there, Colonel.
Right before it. Look at that headshot. The headshot there with the right hand was all she wrote.
He was going.
And now we want to get the official results from our ring announcer. So let's go up to
Phil Player.
Ring announcer, Phil
Ladies and
Player.
gentlemen, referee Mr. Frank Hadley started in the 3rd round. A technical knockout. Ladies and gentlemen from China, please put put your hands for Qiu Xiao Jun.
Okay, so a nice victory for Qiu Xiao Jun, and now the presentation of the trophy will go to the fighter, and it's being made by the Sands
Andrew
McDonald, who's a big executive with the whole Sands Corporation.
Now, hang on a second. You just said it. The key word's corporation, and you live in Vegas. You trying to get a gig there?
No. I'm all set. The Marina Bay Sands here in Singapore is good enough for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, to present the trophy for Marina Bay Sands, Mr. Andrew McDonald.
So the trophy is presented to Jun, and by golly, that once again the promoters did a great job with these trophies. They're beautiful. That's something the guy can be proud of to take back home.
It's not as good as my Colonel Bob Sheridan World of Boxing Canadian and Florida Boxing Hall of Fame pen, and I'm going to keep so close.
All right, let's see what Phil has to say.
乔家俊，今天啊，你很开心吗？
非常开心，
哦，你要笑什么？很多中国人今天啊。
谢谢给我打气加油的观众们，谢谢在场的中国观众朋友们。
What about all the Chinese? 加油！加油！加油！ Ladies and gentlemen, your first China hero tonight, Qiu Xiao Jun. 中国人很开心啊。